Hello everybody and a very warm welcome to you all to our Club 100 Sprint Series of Championships.
Quite a popular circuit with the drivers, this one.
We are here at Lydd Kart Circuit.
And a very windy day it was too at Lydd Kart Circuit. Hello and welcome back to the Sprint Series for Club 100 2022. First race we weren't able to get recorded, but second race and third race we do for the heat, so we jump straight into heat number 2 where we're able to get a position from 7th off of the first chicane and into the second chicane. We're able to get another one, so we're into 5th place as we reach the furthest point on the circuit. It looks like a hairpin, but you can actually carry quite a lot of speed through there, so important that you do as well. As we get on the back straight here on the first lap, looking to the inside as we come into the double right hand corner, and we're able to follow through the car in front, making that move for us. We just follow it through and gain another position, so up 3 positions at the end of the first lap. We'll take that, thank you very much. Now this car had a bit of a wobbly NAS panel, so as we go throughout this race we're going to lose more and more of the sky and just start looking down towards the floor, but at the moment we're still able to see quite nicely as we try to get a move coming out of the quick hairpin at the far end of the circuit, but can't get the drive as we get out of it, so we skip forward again, see if we can make something else happen. So coming off the hairpin we get a better run this time up the inside as we go into the very quick, quite a big chicane, really. It's very flowing, and that's us up into 3rd place behind Tyler Mays, giving a little bit bump along as we go towards the double right hander at the end of the lap. Now Tyler goes a little bit too wide there and we sneak up his inside, but he's able to carry a decent amount of speed around the outside even though he ran wide, and he's got the line through the second part of the chicane, so we have to give that up, and in doing so we end up losing that 3rd position that we'd gained, so we're back into 4th, but we were feeling pretty good in this one. Felt like we had a good car, felt like we were pretty on it, and we put our nose up to the inside trying to get back into that 3rd place, and we do. Probably the main overtaking spot on the circuit over this weekend was going into that double right-hander. Really strong headwind on both the Saturday and Sunday, going down that main straight towards the double right-hander, which meant that if you were behind somebody, not only did you have the slipstream, but it was amplified based on the fact that you were shielded from the high winds by them. But here we go, we make our move up into 2nd place, and then skipping forward we're moving on to the final lap of this second heat. We've got a little bit of a gap to try and break down to the driver in front, so let's see if we can do that by the end of the lap and possibly try and take our first heats win of the season. So we've got right up onto the rear bumper now, and we're trying to plan our move. Are we going to try and make it into the fast chicane, or are we going to try and make it into the last lap? Now coming off that corner, didn't get the world's best drive, and the driver in front is defensive going into the long chicane, so we can't do it there, but we do get a good run going around the left-hander. Didn't have any rear end wanting to step out on us, and sort of a half defensive move as we come through there, but enough for us to get our nose up the inside, and we take that 1st position at the end of heat number 2. So that's our first heat win of the season as we move on to heat number 3, where this time we were starting in 7th place again, owing to the random grid system, so front, middle and the back, and I think someone in this heat also wasn't here, so we moved forward a position. So on the outside for the second part of the chicane again, but that becomes the inside for the first part of the 2nd chicane. Now we're able to get up the inside of Sam Slater here. Had a good chat to him at the start of the race, and he did what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to try and make sure that he sent it through the first couple of corners. He hadn't had the best of first heats, I don't think, so he was trying to make up for it, and we end up tucking in behind. Moving forwards, we're looking to try and make a move as we go through the chicane, but driver in front there possibly lost a chain. There are a few chains lost, I think, owing to having to take these curbs quite strongly over the course of the weekend, so I think that was possibly a chain that had departed company with our competitor's car there, and make a good move up to the inside of this long chicane. One of the main overtaking points of the circuit was there, mainly for the fact the track was so wide on the way going in. You wanted to try and keep it to the left hand side going into the chicane, but in doing so it really opened it up. So not much else happened for the rest of that race. We end up coming home in P5 or 6, and that takes us on to the A final, where we qualified P9. And as we go out for the A final, you get 4 laps at the start, before the race starts rather, to have a think about whether or not you want to change your car, and we do. We didn't feel like this car was going to be the one for us, so we bring it back into the pits, quickly get everything swapped over with the help of the Club 100 staff on to the next car. And this was the one and only swap we'd be able to do, because coming out, not only is it part of the rules you can only do one swap, but coming out we are going to take the alternative line around the circuit as we go in reverse through the cut through and join up with the grid. So we can see that Fraser Brunton on pole with their bars alongside him. We're on row number 5 behind Reese Pope, so towards the front half of the grid, which is good for us, and we've got a lot of fast drivers surrounding us, so it's going to be about trying to keep our momentum through the first lap or so, making sure not to give up too many positions and try and take some for ourselves. But as we start the race, we drop off the back of Reese in front of us and leaves a big gap in front, which means that the drivers to our left hand side were able to slip into it going through the first chicane, and we've already dropped back a couple of positions to start this race off. So not the most positive start, as we have Hussein Rashid able to sneak up the inside of us. We'll see a bit more of him later as well, and we lose another position to Ramnes Sakauskas as we go through the hairpin that's a bit quicker than your standard hairpin, 4, maybe even 5 wide going into the chicane, as we kind of get sandwiched a little bit, get barged out towards the outside of the long left-hander, which gives us a bit of a horrible run going onto the main straight, and then the best we can do is kind of tuck ourselves up behind the driver in front, try and give them a bump as we go down the main straight and boost our speed in that slipstream. So quite a horrible first lap. We dropped 7 positions there, down into P16 as we move on to lap number 2. You can see the big long train of karts in front of us. We want to be towards the front of that if we can, so we need to make moves as soon as we're able to. Lap number 2, towards the end of it, we get that slipstream again going down towards the double right hand corner, able to get our nose up the inside of the driver in front and get the car slowed down enough to the point where we don't wash out wide and end both of our races early. Moving on to lap number 3, back into 15th for now. Going through the section chicane, we've got lots of people nose to tail, makes it difficult to be able to keep up your ultimate speed. As you see there, Ramnes Sakauskas loses out a little bit, but in him losing out, we're able to take advantage and try and bump him through, get his speed back up, and then follow him through ourselves. Now, we end up compromised through the right-hander of this long chicane, but in doing so, that gives us the inside line, preferred line through the left-hand part of it, and we're able to keep that 14th position as we move on to lap number 5. Still behind Ramnes, and we're trying to work our way through. Now we're taking our normal racing line as we come through here, but that allows a little bit too much space to the inside, and we're now 2 by 2 as we work our way down towards, again, this very quick right-hander into the chicane. We're able to hang it around the outside, but in doing so, yes, we keep hold of that 14th position, but we end up losing track of the drivers in front, and we didn't get the best of runs down that main straight, so we didn't even catch up on them if we could have. A little bit later into the race, or skipping forward a lap, in fact, again, we tried to hang it around the outside of that right-hander, but not able to this time, and again, getting a horrible run out of that long chicane, which means we have to come right over towards the right-hand side to try and hold off the drivers in front, back to the left-hand side to try and give ourselves the best line that we can, and we're in 15th now, moving on to lap number 7. Not making the progress we kind of need to make at this stage, and we're going to skip forward onto lap number 10 now. Nothing really happened for the last few laps, it was just us trying to break down that gap in front, and we're back onto the rear bumper of Ramnes Sakauskas in front, and we're in P15. Now, for the last few laps we'd noticed that we'd been a little bit better than Ramnes coming onto this back straight, and as we do, we can see him jumping in that seat trying to take the load off the car, and probably should have gone for the move going for this double right-hander, but it ends up being a fortuitous decision that we didn't, as on the exit of the second part of the right-hand corner, a horrible crash involving Yusuf Ramnes and I think it was Martin Theodoru as well. Really high-speed part of the circuit, and luckily all 3 of them, apart from being a little bit shaken up, were okay. But as we get round to this part of the circuit, we were kind of thinking, I'll be surprised if this doesn't get red flagged. And as we say that, the red flags do come out, and we're able to get some medical attention to those 3 drivers and sort out the barrier to make sure we're safe to go racing again afterwards. But yeah, horrible crash, really high speed, and just thankful that the 3 of them were okay. Now at the restart, we should have been a little bit further up than we are. We were told to line up in P15, which is actually put us out 2 positions, because the 2 drivers in front, Ben Lambeth and the same Rashid, I think it is in front, they were behind us at the end of that last lap before the red flag. So not sure quite what happened there, but it is what it is. We're in P15 now, even if we should have been slightly further in front, and we just have to deal with it and try and get as far through as we can for the rest of these race. 4 laps or so left to go when we saw the green flag. Now coming through the first part of this long chicane, carry a bit more speed in than Ben on the way in. Need to try and remember that for later, if we're slightly better through there than he is. And he's getting his head down, wanting to chase after Hussein in front. Hussein a little bit wide going through the first part. Ben ends up getting into the side of him, not malicious there, just the way 2 karts ended up trying to fight over the same bit of track. But we're able to put it up the inside of Hussein as well, going through the first chicane. And Ben gets a bit of a horrible drive there. I'm not sure if he let off for some reason, or maybe just didn't get good drive. But we're able to take that position going into the second chicane as well, and we're up into P13, chasing down this big group of karts in front of us. As we come down towards this fast chicane as well, we take our normal racing line, and we can see the 2 in there front. That's Dan Seeger and Sam Esri, I think it is. They end up getting side by side and really slow each other down, which gives us the opportunity to get on the bumper of Dan. We can't get right behind him as Hussein and Ben both are able to get up the inside as we go into that last part of the lap. We couldn't quite get across to the right hand side early enough to cover it, and we lose those 2 positions at the end of the lap. So on the scorer's sheet it would look like nothing happened that lap for us, but we know very different at this point in time as we move on to the last few laps of the race. So lap 15, final part of the race, and we're in P15 trying to make our way forward. Now if something happens with the karts in front, we could be in the pound seat here, because everyone's very close together and they're taking defensive lines going into this long chicane. We're right on the bumper of Hussein in front, so we know we're going to get a little bit of a tow as we go down towards the final 2 corners, but we don't get the best launch as we come onto the straight. But we do see go for the move in front. We're able to then sneak it up the inside, and it's a drag race now to the line. Can we make it? Yes we can, P14 as we cross the line. So not the best result that we could have got this weekend, but it was a really good race, lots of fun, and thankful that the 3 drivers that were involved in that collision were okay. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that as much as it was to be involved in, and until next time, as always, have a good one.